Throughout history, freethinkers have outraged the religious with their wacky ideas about the virtues of free speech, reason, and of course, eating babies. Now, God is dying, and it's time to dispose of his remains. From the pits of hell, Satan sends two puppets of the imperialist West and the Zionist Jews against God, Islam, and tiny kittens to bring you their propaganda and conspire for a new world order. This is Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment with Ali Rizvi and Armin Navabi.
Hello, everybody. We're live. Welcome to another episode of Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Armin Navabi, the founder of Atheist Republic, the largest online platform for atheists in the world with over, I think it's 1.8 million almost followers, right? Now?
Right.
Right. So, anyway. Armin. Okay, so welcome everybody. So today, what we have is many of you saw the title. The title is about how one woman fought Pakistan's blasphemy laws, and our guest today is Rafya. Rafya is a Pakistani American woman who I recently met at when we both spoke at the Harvard Humanist Hub in Cambridge. And she had also spoken a year before at the Muslimish conference there. So this was a Muslimish conference. And she told a really heartbreaking but an extremely inspiring story. And it was so compelling that I invited her to come here and join us on the podcast to tell this story, because I think it'll really benefit many of you out there who might find yourself in similar situations. Rafya was married off at, and Rafya, correct me if I'm wrong with any of this. She was married off at 17. She was in an abusive marriage, and at about 2 or 3 years into it, she had her 3-year-old daughter. She was taken away from her by her ex-husband, and she was separated from her daughter for many years. And he used a number of ways. He was in Pakistan. And he used a number of ways to keep her away from her daughter. And one of those later on was also he used Pakistan's blasphemy laws against her. So we'll talk a little bit about Pakistan's blasphemy laws and how they work. I think many of you know about it, and we'll get into those details. But first, before you get sick of me talking, if you're not already sick of me talking, I'm going to just introduce Rafya. Rafya, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you on, and we're excited to have you sort of share your experience with everybody and to tell your story, because I know that I know it's something that will inspire a lot of people, and probably even though it will be, like I said, it's heartbreaking, but it does give people hope as well to some extent. So, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're from, how all of this happened, how you ended up getting married so young.
Yeah. From my dad's side, I'm Turkish. They migrated to Iran. Even though their background from dad's side is Turkish, we spoke Persian at home. From my mom's side, we are Pathan, from Pakistan. And, I was born in the US, in New York. And, my dad was a businessman. My mom was a heart surgeon. And, after I was born, shortly after, we moved to London, and then from there on, moved to Pakistan, where I grew up. My mom died when I was 3 years old, and I got raised by my stepmom. But I didn't know that my stepmom was not my real mom. I grew up thinking the opposite, thought that she was my real mom. That I found out later on, what happened to my mom, and that my stepmom wasn't my real mom. And then when I initially found out about my mom's death, I got pretty rebellious as a teenager. I was going to college. I wanted to become a doctor, and I got pretty good grades in my metric exams. I was like, I'm going to go for medicine. And my stepmom was like
10th grade, just for people who are not familiar. It's 10th grade high school equivalent in Pakistan.
Yeah, so I got pretty good grades in metric, and I was like, eligible to go in some of the best colleges in Karachi, which is where I grew up in. And my stepmom and my brother, they were all like, no, you're not going to go to this college. There's like, it's going to be boys there. You have to go to an all-girls college. So they ended up putting me in this college that was like a block away from my house. And the college was like pretty bad. Like it was a bunch of girls that just flunked their exams and that they would just take all the failures there. So that got me really, pissed off about the whole situation. I was like, this is really messed up. I wanted to go become a doctor. And now in this college, there's no way I can get into a good medical college after this.
Right.
And later on, so my husband was related to me. And I was talking to one of my friends, and one of my friends was like, why don't you talk to this friend of mine? Maybe he will be able to help you out what's going on. So I called him, and turns out, we were related. And I was like, this is what's happening. And, you don't know anything about my mom. At that point, I wasn't sure whether my mom was alive or not. I thought that maybe my dad and my mom got divorced and my mom just, left or whatnot. And he told me, your mom is actually dead. She died a long time ago. And I was like, just shocked. I was like, I want to go to her grave. Where is she buried? So he was like, I can take you to her grave, but, I don't want to get into trouble with your dad.
Right.
But I kept pestering him. I was like, no, you got to take me. You got to take me. You got to take me. I was like, I'll bunk college one day. Maybe you can take me to her grave. So that's what we did. He came to pick me up from college and took me to my mom's grave. And it was just like this surreal experience. I was like, I can't believe, I'm sitting in my mom's grave. I'm like 17 years old then. And I was like, my whole life, I thought that my mom was alive. And I just did not understand why my parents had kept that from me. My dad had kept that whole thing from me. And so then when he dropped me back to college, so, I could go home, I saw my stepmom on the street. She just like started running, charging towards me. And I freaked out. I was like, holy crap. If I go back, they will beat the hell out of me. They saw me coming out of this guy's car. So I just did not think anything. I just started running. Like I was like in the middle of, I'm sure that you're aware of the streets of Pakistan, Tariq Road. And I was just like, I was literally running in the middle of Tariq Road. And
in Karachi. That's,
Yeah, so it's just like running in my college uniform. I had no idea where the hell I was going. And I finally got to a store, called, used a payphone, called the friend of mine, the relative. I was like, listen, my stepmom just saw me coming out of your car. I don't know what's going to happen. Can you help me out? So he was like, oh shit. He was like, okay, let me call my mom. Let me see what I can do. So he called his mom, and then he's like, okay, I'll come pick you up. So he picked me up. We went back to his house. And his mom started freaking out. They're like, they did the same thing to your mom. They're going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. This is so crazy. Why would you take her, to her mom's grave? This is crazy. She's going to die just like her mom died. So now I'm like sitting there, like completely confused. Like, what is going on? Then, his uncle came and they all sat down, all the grown-ups. And I was like this terrified teenager. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And they're like, well, there's only one way we can get out of this. They're like, well, you guys get married. If you guys do the nikah, then the dad has no right over her. Otherwise, he can come and do anything.
So up on that point, you're basically your father's property, but once you get married, now you become your husband's property, and he has
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they called the mullah, and then the mullah, the second the mullah saw my dad's name under my, daughter of so-and-so, the mullah started freaking out. He's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, you don't know who her dad is. This is crazy. You guys are going to get me killed, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, no.
The mullahs were freaking about from your dad? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little different. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, oh, this is not a good sign. I'm like, holy crap. So then they just like handed the mullah like a wad of money, and they're like, just do it now. And the mullah's like, all right, fine, So just he took the money and he finalized the nikah. He wrote down the whole thing there. And
the nikah is the religious contract. It's the Islamic contract of marriage.
Yeah. So, and then my dad at that time was in London when this whole thing went down. The second day he came back to Karachi, Pakistan, when he heard about this whole thing. And oh my God, I've been telling you. So, like literally half of Tariq Road was outside my husband's house at that point. There was cops, there was rangers, there was like some army personnel. My dad like showed up with all these people. And he's like, oh, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill all of you. And then he just like walks up the stairs. And at that point, my then mother-in-law, she told my husband, is like, you need to leave right now. So he just like went upstairs, like jumped off the roof from like multiple roofs, like went down on another building and just got up. And now I'm like sitting there, like ready to face the wrath of my dad. So my dad comes up with my brother. And they just like started beating the hell out of me. They're like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I'm like, I don't know. So they just like, their building was 3 stories. And I was refusing to go back. So I was just like completely dead weight. And they just grabbed me by my feet and they started grabbing me and like dragging me down the stairs. So my head was just like hitting every step. And
what
by the time,
fuck?
Yeah. So they're like just like punching me and hitting me, trying to get me back to home.
Oh.
And I was like, no, I don't want to go. So by the time I got to the last step and I was like, oh, holy crap, I'm about to go back home. This is not going to be good. My ex-husband's uncle shows up. He's like, they're married. You can't take her. You know, she's married now. And my dad just like, you know, just stopped in his tracks. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, she's married. You can't take her. You know, she's so-and-so's wife now. So my dad was like, basically, you know, fuck all of you. And he just like left. You know, I went back upstairs.
See how powerful these social constructs are, that he basically plays by the game, even though he's so brutal, like, oh, you're married, so, oh, I have no right over you. Right?
Yeah. So he was just like, you know, he wiped his hands. He was like,
it's like a cheat code in the system. All right.
Yeah. So then I went back upstairs. God, I don't think I've ever been that bruised and battered. Just like down my ribcage, like just like huge bruises everywhere.
Oh, fuck.
Like basically 2 grown men beat the hell out of me. And
did you report them to the police for beating you?
Yeah. I called the police, and the police is like, this is a family matter. We cannot get involved. You know, how the police in Pakistan are. Your husband beats the crap out of you. They're like, oh, this is a family matter. You solve it amongst yourself. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, this is, I was just going to say that over there, if you call the police, I mean, if women call the police and they say that, you know, my husband's beating me, they just say, well, you're having a fight. Even
so in Pakistan, as a husband, I can beat my wife as much as I want and nobody's going to come stop me?
Yeah, and they use the Quranic verse too to beat your wife. And, you know, it's all good.
The Quranic verse is Surah 4, verse 34. It says that if you fear disobedience from your wife, you can beat her. So that's this is it's unfortunate, but
yeah, you can't. I mean, if you have a Quran, it's not even Hadith. This is Quranic verses, and you can't do much about that, right?
Right.
And even with your parents, you know, in the Quran it says, I'm not sure if it's exactly the Quran, but it says, you know, if your parents say something, you're not supposed to even say ouch to them.
Yeah.
You know, just like, so basically that happened. And then, you know, after everything cooled down, they all left. My ex-husband came back and he's like, all right, we need to get out of Karachi because this is dangerous. So we left. We were away for almost a month. And then when things finally cooled back, we came back. Within that month that we were away, the first week after we got married, he started beating the hell out of me. So I was on a phone call with one of my friends. Yeah. And, you know, when that happened, my dad basically cut me off from everything. I mean, my dad was like an influential guy, had lots of money. And the second that happened, he just cut me off. And now that I look back, I think that, you know, maybe they were thinking like I was like a ticket to a free meal or something, like to just get a bunch of inheritance money or something.
So your husband saw this, your husband and their family saw this as an opportunity, and then once
this is what I think. This is what I think. You know, I can't say for exactly what went on in their heads, but this is as far as I can think. Like now, looking back at the whole situation, you know, knowing what I know now.
Right. Because why? Because it is if he's beating you now, it's not like he cared.
Yeah. Like within a week.
Yeah. Within a week, yeah.
As soon as he found out that my dad cut me off from everything, he was like, like there goes my golden hen or whatnot. So we came back, and like his mom was just like completely nuts, abusive, saying, "Oh, you didn't bring anything in dowry, and you can't touch this, you can't touch that, you have to do this and you have to do that." And meanwhile, my dad's house, I grew up with, we had servants and we had everybody taking care of me. Like I didn't even know how to make tea when I got married.
And you're 17 now, right? Like at this point, okay.
Not now, back then.
Back then. I'm way older than 17 now.
I've immersed myself into the situation.
Right.
In character.
Okay.
So that whole thing, it's just like, it was just abusive. Like, I was like, I'm in this shitty situation. I'm like, I can't go back to my dad's house now. And there's nowhere else I can go.
And there's no divorce, is there?
I could have filed for khula, which is, when you file for divorce and you just basically give up all rights to anything.
Right.
And at that point, I was so scared. It was a 17-year-old girl that just found out that her mom died in mysterious circumstances, and don't know my mom's side of the family. The only family I know is my dad's, and they're nuts. And then my husband's now, and they're completely nuts too. And so then 6 years I was married to my ex-husband, and I had my daughter, and that was another ordeal. So when I got pregnant, when I went, my husband kept telling me, you need to go find out the sex of the baby. You need to go find out if it's a boy or a girl. So every time I would go and get an ultrasound, the doctor would refuse to tell me. She's like, "Oh, I can't see, if it's a boy or a girl." Which now in hindsight, I'm thinking like, that's probably what they do with most women. They don't tell them whether it's a boy or a girl. If it's a girl, for sure, because they don't want the pregnant woman to be upset and be suffering at the hands of the husband's family. Oh, you're pregnant with a girl, whatnot. So then when I was in labor, I had like these major complications, and the baby was stuck, and the doctor was like, we need to have an emergency C-section. So the anesthesiologist, he was a male doctor. And my ex-husband just threw a shit fit in the middle of the hospital. He's like, "No man is going to touch my wife. No man is going to see my wife. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to have a C-section." And meanwhile, I'm sitting there in the wheelchair, like basically going in and out of consciousness. And the doctor is like, if we don't take her in now, she's going to die and the baby's going to die too. So that happened. It was like, I don't know, like a good 10 hours of stuff.
Yeah, just to remind everybody of that incident in a school that was on fire in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, and they didn't, I think they didn't allow the girls out, if I'm remembering correctly, even though it was burning, because they didn't want.
I think I've heard of that story too.
Yeah, because they didn't have proper hijab. But hey, wait, so he didn't, he had no problem with men touching you when you were going and getting tests done, but now all of a sudden he's telling
No, the tests usually are done by female doctors over there. The ultrasounds and stuff, the ultrasound techs are usually female.
Yeah, but
at least the ones that I went to.
You don't know. You don't know if it's going to be a man or a woman, because labor just happens that way, right? When you go into labor, you go into labor.
But okay, but this is on Islamic, isn't? Don't you in Islam? Don't they allow male doctors to touch women? Isn't that like an exception for the rule?
I guess it is, but like if somebody's just nuts, I don't think that even religion applies to them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's also it's the mahram and non-mahram rules still apply for some people, for very ultra conservative Muslims, in medical situations as well. So I know that they do that in Saudi Arabia. It really depends. I mean, when you say Islam, it's so broad. Depends on which hadith you think are authentic.
The way we were told in school is that if it's medical issues, you can preferably female for female and male for male, but it's preferable, but not, it's not mandatory.
Or there's also that clause that to use the mirror instead of directly looking at the person, right?
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's also another one. Yeah. But go ahead. So you're there.
So then like I basically at that point, like I almost passed out, and I don't know what happened after that. Come to figure out, the eventually he agreed to having the male anesthesiologist because the doctor was like, all he's going to do is just going to inject her. He's not going to see anything. And he was like, all right, fine. I want to be in the operating theater. And the doctor's like, no, you're not going to be, we're not going to let you be in the operating theater because obviously by that time he caused such a ruckus. They didn't want this nut job in there. They're like, no. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you exactly where he's going to put the needle in. And that's all he's going to see. And then after that, the doctor's going to leave. And then I will take care of that. And he's like, okay, fine. So, I went into labor, went into the C-section and everything. Turns out I have a daughter. And he loses his shit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's like, you gave birth to a daughter, like, screw you. And then, like, it's like, I'm going to beat the hell out of you when I come home. Why did you give birth to a daughter? And I'm like, not again.
Oh,
so,
God,
yeah.
This is so frustrating.
Can I jump in? This is one little thing I want to tell you. The first surgery I ever assisted in medical school, and this is also in Karachi. This is at the Aga Khan University. Was a woman who had advanced cervical cancer, right? Cancer of the cervix. She was there with her 3 daughters, and it turned out that she had been diagnosed with cervical cancer, and they'd recommended removing the cervix and the uterus. But her mother-in-law and her husband said no. She had cancer, right? She had to get the cancer removed. They said no because we have 3 daughters and we don't have a son yet. So that's why her cervical cancer was advanced. And their whole uterus was it's called pyometra. It's full of pus and fluid. And we had to get rid of it at that point. I don't know what happened to her afterwards, but that's kind of how serious this is real. I mean, there are many people I think who are listening to this who are from sort of Pakistani middle class families that have kind of gone past these attitudes. However, when you work in a hospital, like when I was working in a hospital in the Aga Khan University, the hospital is it's a private, sort of more expensive, higher end hospital. But even there, we see cases like this all the time, right? So this is not uncommon.
Yeah, I've actually talked to some friends of mine that, went to school in Pakistan. They say that even when they, do ultrasounds to try to figure out the sex of the baby, if they can see it's a girl, they won't tell the parents. They'll just say, like, I can't see it, or it's not clear enough, because they don't want this pregnant woman, to get a beating when she goes home because she's pregnant with a female child.
Yeah.
So it just sucks.
Yeah. So you go home with your daughter and your husband.
And then my ex-husband just locks me out of the room, so I'm not allowed to go in our bedroom. So now I have to sleep downstairs with my mother-in-law because I gave birth to a daughter. So for a whole month after I gave birth to my daughter, I sleep with my mother-in-law, who was another goddamn Nazi, basically. So it was just like everything had to be her way. If anything wasn't her way, it was just completely unacceptable. Or if I ever said no to something that she wanted, she would just go to my husband and just like, your wife answered back to me, and then he would just start beating me. And, if I didn't iron his shirt the proper way, he's like, this doesn't have the right crease on the sleeves, just start beating me. Shoes not polished the right way, start beating me. So stuff like that. So for 6 years now, I was thinking in my head, I got married, against my father's will. I need to get this, make this work, because where else am I going to go at this point? I tried everything. I tried getting really religious. I started praying. I'm like, maybe if I, pray enough, his meanness will go away. And it didn't work. And I don't know, like, I tried everything. I tried to be super nice, caught him cheating on me a couple times. And he was like, he came home one day and with like gold lipstick on his collar. And I'm like, what the fuck, like, what is this? He's like, oh, that's my mom's lipstick. I'm like, your mom does not wear lipstick for one, and not gold lipstick. Like, what the hell? So then when I caught him and I cornered him, and then he started beating me again. He's like, how dare you question me? It's just like,
so you can't even see a male doctor.
Yeah.
And then, but when he goes and sleeps with another woman, you get a beating for it as well.
Yeah. Because, I grew up as a Shia Muslim, and he was a Shia too. And he's like, I have the right to do muta, and I can have as many wives as I want.
Yeah, that's actually one of our patron questions from Jindi was, were you from a Shia or Sunni background? So you're from
Isn't that both Shia and Sunni that you could have 4 wives?
Yeah,
Four wives, but when you're Shia, you can do muta and have multiple. Yeah.
Oh, you guys call it something else. Yeah. You could have many temporary marriages.
Yeah, so that's basically what he claimed, that he had many temporary wives.
Yeah.
Right. This is something that Sunnis hate about Shias, because basically they're saying that you guys just basically legalize prostitution.
Exactly. And you know how much shit I went through as a kid when I was in school. I got bullied a lot. A lot of my classmates were Sunni, and they used to always say, Shia kafir, you know, you're kafir, you do this, you do that. And I just like it was rough.
So you got it from both. So basically, you got it from Shias for not being from religious Shias, and also
from not being Shia enough, and from Sunnis for being too Shia.
I used to the Shias, and I used to get the same thing in school in Pakistan. Like they'll say, "Well, you know, your Shias are kafir." I'm like, "No, we're not. You guys have the wrong kalima." And they're like, "Why? What's your kalima?" And I'm like, "Our kalima is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah." Aliyun Waliullah wa Khomeini wa Ayatullah, and they would lose their shit, right? Because it was bullshit. That wasn't that.
Wow.
Okay. I don't think that I never said the Khomeini part.
No, I made it up, and I used to make up all this stuff. I'm like, don't you believe Ali was God? Ali was God, and then they'd freak out.
Yeah, but that's not the right term. If the Sunnis want to shit on Shias, they have to call you mushrikun, not kafirun. Because
they took it the next level. They were like, "Oh, you're kafir."
Mushrik is worse.
High school kids, they don't know the difference. They just know.
I guess.
Because you have partners to God, which is their moms. Yeah. Anyways, did you find out about what happened to your mom?
I did. I can't go into the details of it, but I know that the circumstances of her death were very, very shady and mysterious at best. She was a heart surgeon, and the story that I've heard from my dad's side of the family was she died from heart failure. The story that I heard from my mom's side of the family, however, is completely different. They say, she was a heart surgeon. At age 33, it is very rare to die from heart failure for somebody that is not overweight.
Oh, yeah. But
so,
for a woman, no. It's not special.
Yeah.
Right.
But and then the fact that, she was buried at midnight, that's another red flag.
Just like Fatima.
And I just, the fact that I wasn't told about her until I found out on my own. Which is a whole other story. Like I found out at age 9 when I was just like being nosy and going through my dad's drawer, and I found my birth certificate, and I found out that the name of my mom on there is different. I'm like, who made this birth certificate? In my head, I'm thinking, wow, somebody made a real mistake. Like somebody put the wrong name here. And then later on, a few months down the road, I was in London, and I was going through this bag of pictures, and I saw pictures of my dad with this lady and this baby in the hospital. I'm like, who the hell is this baby? I'm like, oh my God, my dad's cheating on my mom. What's going on? But then I'm looking at the baby's picture. I'm like, this baby looks like crazy familiar. I don't know why this baby looks so familiar. Like, this is nuts. So then I'm like, maybe I should look at my passport picture, like my first passport picture, and I compare it. I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is the same baby. What is this? Like, I'm just like losing my shit. I'm like, this is crazy. But I was too scared to ask anybody about it. So,
it's
I
like
just
an episode of Scooby-Doo. Like.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it felt. And I used to watch Scooby-Doo a lot back then, but I still couldn't figure it out what was going on.
Yeah. So let's go back to your unless you were going to say something. If you had
No. You can. Yeah.
So the other side, so you're there now. You have a baby. Your husband's going out, coming back with gold lipstick. You're sleeping with your mother-in-law downstairs.
Yeah.
And you have a daughter. And
yeah. So there was this another episode. We were having breakfast, and I'm like feeding my daughter something at breakfast, and my husband goes, go get me something. I don't exactly remember what he wanted. Like maybe he was like looking for some sort of paper or something upstairs. But my daughter was like really hungry. So I'm like, can I feed her first? And then I'll go get your thing. And he just lost his shit. He just grabbed my daughter from like her shirt, and he like took her outside by the window. He's like, I'm going to throw this piece of shit outside. You don't fucking listen to me. you think this is like more important than what I'm asking you to do? Like, you've lost your fucking mind. And I am just sitting there like petrified. He's just basically like Michael Jackson. He's holding the baby outside the window. He's like, I'm going to throw her outside. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, if I react right now, he might like get a kick out of it. He might try to do it more. Maybe if I just sit there and not do anything, he'll just realize that it's not affecting me. So I just like sat there like completely like basically paralyzed, like not knowing what to do. My stepmom my mother-in-law is losing her shit. She's like, you're a nut job, like, give me the baby. And he's like, no, this girl is like losing her mind. She's not respecting me. Like, I'm telling her to do something. And she's like, I'm going to take care of the baby first. Like, fuck you. You know, I wanted a boy. I didn't want a girl. And like, she's giving her more preference than me.
How many floors are you up?
This is the 3rd floor.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So even his mother-in-law was like, yeah, don't do that with the baby.
Yeah.
Even your mom.
So like somehow she calmed him down, like got the baby out of the window area. And then he like took me upstairs, beat the hell out of me. He's like, how dare you disrespect me in front of my mom? I'm like, I'm not disrespecting you. I'm just feeding the child that was hungry. You know, like, are your needs more important than a newborn baby when the baby's hungry? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? So, you know, the shit like that, like just like completely just nuts, you know. Just if I ever like, said something, he'll just like completely piss him off and just lose his shit. And that kind of stuff just continued for 6 years. I tried to do my best. I was like, you know, maybe if I'm good enough before. Yeah, I was like, maybe if I'm good enough, maybe if I don't say anything, maybe if I don't answer back, maybe if I don't do this, maybe if I don't, like, I just kept thinking the fault was in me. Maybe I was not a good enough of a Muslim wife. You know, if I was good enough, if I prayed enough, you know, everything would be fine. But it wasn't. And then eventually, like, I came across, like, you know, the internet at that point came out, and that was the one thing that I guess he did good, was like, just give me a computer, and I was able to go on the computer for maybe an hour or two a day. Mm-hmm. So I just would browse, and then one day I came across his website, faithfreedom.org, where this guy made all these claims about Muhammad.
This is Ali Sinna's website.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ex-Muslim.
And I just like, I read all that. And at this point, I'm just like super religious. I'm trying to do everything I can, like all kinds of prayers to make your husband be nice to you, like all these special prayers, and nothing was working. And this guy's claiming all these things. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like saying all these terrible things about my religion, the prophet, like how dare he? And I was like, I'm gonna talk to my, I forgot the name. Like, what is in Shia Islam that you have to talk to somebody like
Marja Taqlid.
Yeah, Taqlid. So I emailed them in Iran. I was like, you know, this guy's making all these claims, like this is terrible. You know, can you like, this guy's saying like, anybody that can prove me wrong, I'll take this stuff off the internet. Can you guys help me, like, so I can have him take all this stuff off of the website?
So just to explain, this is like you go Taqlid is when you go to a religious authority, usually a mujtahid who's a learned scholar, and you ask them about matters and they give you advice.
Right. This is a Shia thing, by the way. If you guys, ex-Sunnis that are listening might not. This is another thing that people, Sunnis, hate about Shias, because we're like following other people instead of
clerics, rather than
yeah. Because basically the logic is that you're too stupid to understand all the hadith and the Quran yourself. You have to find the scholar that knows his shit and basically follow him. And even if you make a mistake, as long as you try your best to find a good Marja Taqlid, you're in the right. Even if any mistakes is up on him, not on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of.
So that's what I did.
And your Taqlid was in Iran, you said?
Yeah.
You called up somebody in Iran? Okay.
I didn't call them. I emailed them.
Oh, email them. Okay.
They were advanced back in the day too.
Iran is such an authority when it comes to.
They had Sistani. Ayatollah Sistani. You could actually.
Yeah, I think it was Sistani's some guy. I'm pretty sure that was who I emailed.
Yeah, he had a team of people that you could just write to them, and you could ask them about.
Sistani in Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sistani was in Iraq. He is.
Maybe it was Iraq. Yeah, I'm not sure. It was like, it's so blurry now. It was like so long ago. I don't really remember exactly who I emailed.
Yeah. He lives in Najaf, but he is Iranian. So
Yeah, but he's hated by the Iranian Magi Taqlid. Anyways, let's go. Okay, so you emailed somebody and they got back to you.
And they said, don't doubt was the answer. I'm like, what? How am I going to go back to this guy and say, I'm not going to doubt and whatever you're saying is wrong? What kind of answer is that? Like,
you should have written to us. We would have told you
if I knew you guys were around, I would have written to you guys.
You know why I'm loving this? Because I'm challenging people to say that, reform is not the right answer. You should just make people doubt, right? And you went from being outright Muslim and now seeing an ex-Muslim and investigating that instead of meeting a reformer. And basically the answer that you got from the Magi Taqlid was exactly the most important weapon that I think we have against Islam, which is doubt. So, and they were like, don't do that. Don't doubt.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm just like, and at that point, I wasn't even doubting. I just wanted somebody to like give me ammo so I can go and tell this guy how wrong he is. And then he was just like, don't doubt. I'm like, what? Like, what am I going to do with this? So then I emailed a bunch of other guys and basically they all came back with one version or the other of don't doubt. I'm like, I can't go back to this guy. So I'm like, well, let me just see what this guy is all about. So I go on the website, I read up on it, and then, I compare the notes that he put on the website to the Quran and the Hadith, and I'm just like, oh shit, this guy is like, whatever he's saying, it's actually making sense, I can't say no to what he's saying.
Right.
And at that point, so my ex-husband's uncle, I still don't know where he stands, but he made this, he said the story to me once. He's like, the story of, when Adam was created and how Allah asked all the angels to bow down in front of Adam.
Right.
And Iblis basically refused to bow down.
Iblis means the devil.
Yeah, who later became Satan.
Yeah. Now,
but Iblis was not an angel, by the way. He was a jinn.
That's where I'm getting to.
Oh,
so Iblis was not an angel. He was a jinn, and jinns are made out of fire.
Right.
And that was his thing. He was like, well, why should I'm made out of fire. I'm superior. Why should I bow down to something that's made out of mud?
Right. Makes sense.
So basically, God asked all the angels to bow down. Then why the hell does he punish Iblis? Because, he didn't even ask the jinns to bow down in front of Adam.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
oh, yeah, you're
that's
right.
a very good point.
I've never thought about that.
So I'm like, holy shit, how did God forget that, he made Iblis out of fire?
Yeah. We jinns didn't get the memo. Why are you punishing us for something that we weren't ordered to do?
Well, no wonder he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to fuck you guys over for the rest of eternity.
Exactly. So I'm like, holy shit, now thinking about it. So like just that one story, and I just I kept going back to it. I'm like, that thing that he said about Iblis being a jinn and being made out of fire, and then God asked all the angels to bow down, and the angels bowed down, and then Iblis was like, why should I do it? I'm like, you asked all the angels, not all the jinns. Yeah, right. Why should I be the only jinn that's being singled out? What the hell?
Right. No, you didn't even order me. Like maybe he was just saying, if I was asked to do it, it would be ridiculous. But good thing I was never asked to bow.
No, but then he gets punished and all this.
Sure.
So then he said the story, and I'm thinking about it. So I keep thinking about it, and then I'm going through this website, and then eventually I realized, I don't think that I'm, following the right religion.
Okay.
So
and how old are you now?
This was 2004. So I was born in 83. That's I'm really bad at math. So you do the math.
19.
19, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
21.
Yeah, something like that.
84. Yeah. Oh yeah.
83 and 90.
Yeah.
So you go like this. You say if it's 2003 or 20, so you adjust it by one. But I think both Ali and I adjusted it the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a Shia math, like Shia. It's like the same logic that, that applies to the Iblis thing applied to our mathematical calculation.
But yeah, so 21, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh shit, so then I started researching more and more and more, and I'm like, yep, definitely the wrong religion. So now I start looking at other religions. So I'm like, oh, maybe I can find another religion that's right. Then I start looking at other religions, and like I start looking at Judaism. So like at that point, I'm so miserable, and I just want to get the hell out of my ex-husband's house. So I'm like, well, maybe if I do a Jewish prayer. So I go on this Jewish website where you can put prayers in the wall. And like you can type up your prayers, and then somebody goes and puts it in the wall in Israel. I'm like, maybe if I write a prayer, then please get me out of this shithole, like get me out of my
Weren't
husband's
you
house.
worried about, like, isn't Judaism like a scary thing among an Islamic tribe? Like, wouldn't people be like, wow, you're putting Jewish stuff in walls? Like, wouldn't that be like, what? Like,
No. So this website, the Jews have this wailing wall, where they go and pray.
Yeah.
So if you write down the prayer on that,
you wanted somebody to put it on the wailing wall for you.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So you don't have to go.
Yeah, apparently there's a website where you can go in and this was back then. I don't know if it's still around.
It wasn't just the Shias who were advanced with the internet. It's like
we should get them to put like Atheist Republic or Secular Jihadists.
Yeah.
So I did that. And I was like, maybe if I put a prayer, maybe if the Jewish religion is like the true religion, if they could get me out of the shithole, maybe I'll follow that religion. So I did that. I put multiple freaking prayers, and none of them worked. I'm like still sitting at my husband's house. He's still beating the crap out of me.
Did you have to pay?
No.
Oh.
Maybe if I paid, I would be able to get out quicker. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay. No Jewish jokes. No Jewish money jokes now, guys.
No,
okay.
Why not?
No, of course. Anyway, go ahead.
Our entire show's okay. Go on.
So then then nothing happened. So I'm like, all right, okay, this doesn't work either. All right, let me go to Buddhism. So I'm like, trying to do some Buddhist prayers, but I'm like, there's no prayers, like, so I can curse them. So I'm like, okay, this doesn't work either. So I started looking at witchcraft.
Let's actually think about it. The problem, your problem with Buddhism was it didn't have curses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, I need something more powerful, something more potent. So then I started researching, witchcraft. I'm like, maybe if I do some witchcraft, I can, get rid of these people. That didn't work either. They had some special potion that I had to make under the moonlight, and I'm like, young and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I go on the roof and I make a special potion with like ground up glass, and I'm like, and I just blow it in the air, and then I'll be able to escape. That didn't work either. It sounds like crap, I'm like in a real shitty situation.
Were you scared to be caught doing witchcraft? Like, isn't the punishment for that punishment for witchcraft in Islam death?
Yeah, but I wasn't like, advertising it. I was doing it on the down low.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I have to say, some of our Christian members of the audience, they're going to say, well, you never tried Christianity. Did you even try looking for Jesus?
Yeah, I did actually. I actually looked into that too, but there was just like too much love and stuff, and I was getting so much hate. I couldn't fight all the love.
Right. Yeah, actually, you're so right. It's so much bullshit. It's like, love your enemies, and then you look at your husband and like,
I wanted to murder him.
This guy.
I wanted to like mix some rat poison in his food, but that was against the law, so I couldn't do that either. So I'm like, sitting in this situation, I'm like, crap. How the hell do I get out of here? Then I got into this like deep like psychological spiral. I became anorexic. I had no control over my life. So I'm like, okay, the only control I have is over the amount of food I eat. So that became like a very downward spiral. I went down to like 120 pounds. And one day my stepsister saw me outside, and like she apparently saw like the last time she saw me, I was like 180 pounds, and then she sees me, I'm 120 pounds. So she thinks probably I'm like some sort of like disease or something. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I couldn't say anything because I was so scared my husband was around. And I called one of my friends and I told her what happened. So she called my sister and she's like, Rafya is in a real shitty situation. Her husband beats the crap out of her and she's not happy and all this and that. So my sister goes like,
so she didn't know that for 6 years? Your sister didn't know that you had an abusive husband?
No, like basically my whole side, my dad's side of the family cut off communication with me. They had no idea what was going on.
Okay. Wow.
So, until she saw me outside and she was like, holy shit, like, are you okay? You don't look very well. And contacted my friend, and my friend told her she's not happy and her husband beats her and all this and that. So she told my friend, if she wants, I can help her get out of there. Why doesn't she come and stay with me? And I started talking to my sister, and I told her what happened, and she's like, I'll try talking to Dad and see if he can, if he'll let you come back. She talked to my dad, and my dad's like, fuck that. I don't want her coming here, blah, 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 blah. And then my sister calls me. She's like, okay, Dad won't take you back, but you can come and stay at my house. I don't want you to suffer anymore. Even though we're not really sister, but, you're still related to me. Come over. So she helped me get out. She's like, I'll come and pick you up. So she basically came in like the Ninja Turtle outfit, the hijab and the burqa.
the burqa Ninja Turtle, outfit,
yeah. So she came in a cab, and she's like, and that day my ex-husband was like outside, and he's like, oh, he yelled out at me, and it's like, oh, you want anything to eat? So it's like, oh shit, this is my moment, this is my escape. And I asked him for a sandwich from like someplace that was really far away that would give me enough time to like pack all my stuff and grab my daughter and just call my sister and leave, just enough time. So I was like, oh yeah, can you get me a sandwich from this place? He goes, I won't be able to get it right away, but I'll get it for you, at the end of the night. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. So it was, that day was, I think the 23rd of March. It was a Pakistani holiday, I think.
Pakistan Resolution Day. That's when the Lahore Resolution, Pakistan was created. Actually.
Yeah, 23rd of March is also now Atheist Day, by the way.
No shit.
It is.
Yeah.
So it was a holiday. All the locksmiths and everybody was out. All the stores were closed. So at this point, my ex-husband would lock, when he would leave the house, he would put a lock on the outside, a padlock, so I wouldn't be able to leave. And that one particular day, he forgot to put the lock on.
What?
He had the lock just hanging.
So the witchcraft, and was it one of those things then worked?
One of those things stuck. I don't know which one it was. If I knew, I would go back to it.
I'm pretty sure it was the Judaism.
It was a wailing wall. Witchcraft, the moon, the under the moon stuff. No,
because they sponsor this podcast.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. You're right. Ali is right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then I was like, yes, it's finally, so I just started packing everything, packed my clothes, packed my daughter's diapers and everything. And as soon as I look over the window and I see like he's gone, and I can't really look over the window, I have to be very careful, because if he sees me hanging out the window, he'd just yell at me. It's like, go back inside. People can see you. So I had to like peek from the side of the window to see, like, make sure that his car was gone. And as soon as I realized, I called my sister. I'm like, okay, he's gone. You can come pick me up. So my sister comes over with a cab, with like her whole outfit. And I go downstairs, and right before I leave, I take that goddamn padlock and I lock it from the outside before I leave. I'm like, try getting in the house with that, with no locksmith. Everything's closed.
Yeah, one last fuck you.
Yeah, basically that was the last fuck you to him. I got in the car, went to my sister's house. This was like around, I think, 3-4 in the afternoon. And the next day, 3:00 in the morning, my ex-husband shows up at my dad's house with the rangers and cops, and tries to break into my dad's house. And my dad pulls off a Kalashnikov from inside. My dad was drinking
like
an
AK-47, right?
Wait, your dad was drinking the night before?
Yeah, he was drinking the night before. He didn't know what was going down. And then when when he hears my ex-husband ringing the doorbell and yelling, he's like, "Get my wife out!" And my dad loses his shit. And he and then my ex-husband goes the lady cops are here. They're going to come inside and check. And my dad comes out. He's like, "Fuck you and your fucking lady cops!" And he starts shooting at the cops. So I can't make this shit up. This is ridiculous.
But I am just amazed at how funny and charming you are with this story, like the way that you're, like, it's such a tragic story. But the thing is, you just have this sense of humor about it.
You have to have a sense of humor, because if you don't laugh about it,
how do you? Yeah, you're right. How do you?
Yeah, I think that's what the coping mechanism.
You're leaving us at the cliffhanger. Okay, wait.
Armin is Iranian action movies,
right? So, your dad comes and says "fuck you" and your lady comes. Wait, your husband has had balls, because even the mullahs were afraid of your dad's, and he's now showing up with cops at his door.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like, he didn't realize that my dad would actually show up with a freaking assault rifle and start shooting at the cops. Like, you know, like not actually at the cops, but he was like shooting in the air. Right, and then the cops lose their shit. They're like, what the hell? Like, why did you bring us to this nutshop's house? Like, what the hell is going on? Who is this guy? And then, like, I guess they found out who the guy was actually, and then the cops left, and then my ex-husband had to leave too. So then my dad calls my sister. She's like, what the fuck is going on? Why did he show up at my house? And my sister's like, oh, by the way, she's at my house. He's like, that's ridiculous. I told you not to help her. He's like, you know what? Bring her back to my house. He's like, I can't believe he did this. So now out of spite, because he's pissed off at my husband, he's like, no, now you come now I'm going to help my daughter because I'm pissed off at her husband.
Not because he loves you, but because he hates that. He wants to piss him off. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So like, wow.
Dad of the year. Okay.
Exactly. Like, so I'm just like, wow, great. That's awesome. But then I was thinking in my head, I guess it's better, you know, at least the guy shoots up the lady cops and you know, has no fear about it. So I'd rather stay at his house than stay at my sister's house. So I go to my dad's house, you know, like he gives me a lot of shit about it. He's like, you know, you did this, you did that, you're a horrible person, but look what you did to me. You know, he showed up with the lady cops at my house. I'm like, but you shot at the lady cops. Like, you know, so what's the big deal? He's like, that's not the point.
It's just this whole idea. There's all these female police women just standing outside. They're like, where the hell are we? How do we end up here? This is not why we got into this.
Okay, so just to make it clear to the audience, the reason why they're sending lady cops is because they don't want to get a man to go grab a woman, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
the reason why your dad, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why your dad is offended about the lady cops is because you're having women coming into your territory, and this is so offensive for women to be able to dominate your house like that. Was right?
Yeah. Exactly. So it was a complete shit show. It's like, you know, you're coming to fight me, bring men. Why are you bringing women to fight me? What do you think I am? You know?
This is exactly why ISIS were so afraid of being killed by Kurdish female fighters, because it's one of the most offensive ways to die by a female. So,
exactly. Yeah, I think my dad had that same mindset.
Such a feminist religion.
Exactly.
It's actually also apart from the religion, this is also why Saturday Night Live uses a lot of females like Melissa McCarthy to do Sean Spicer, because the administration, Trump, they get really offended if they're portrayed by women. Like, you know, that guy, the Attorney General, too, the same thing.
You were going to
say, Sessions.
Go on.
So then I started living at my dad's house, and everything was cool. Everything was, you know, kosher. We went to London for vacation, for summer vacation. Me and my daughter, the whole family, everything was cool. He came back, and you know, slowly but surely, my dad goes like, "So what are your plans? What are you going to do with your life?" And I'm just like, you know, I don't know. All I know is I'm not going to go back. And then he's like, you know, you're married, you have a daughter, nobody's going to take you. You're spoiled now. You know, you're not a so-called virgin woman anymore. Nobody's going to want to marry you. You know, you have to figure out something. I'm like, figure out what?
Used product.
Yeah, used product, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, what are you going to do? You have to go back. I'm like, that is out of the question. You know, he beat the crap out of me for 6 years. I tried everything. I'm not going back to this guy. And he's like, well, what if I talk to him and make him promise that he's not going to beat you? I'm like, you know, are you like insane? Like, he's still going to beat me. It doesn't matter like how many promises he makes to you. He made lots of promises to me in the 6 years I was married to him. And he still continued with that, you know. And the guy actually, so I'm going to backtrack. My ex-husband actually beat his own mom to the point where he cracked her ribs.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, like, I'm like, the guy that beats the crap out of his mom to the point that he breaks her ribs, like, why do you think that he's going to, like, respect you and stop beating me all of a sudden because you made him promise, like, a pinky promise? Like, what the hell are you talking about? So, and then like, just like slowly but surely, the pressure started building up first from my dad. And then my sister's like, no, you need to go back. You know, nobody's going to accept you and with your daughter. You know, at the end of the day, he's the father of your daughter. You have to go back. You have to go back. I'm like, no. And then it just eventually became like a pretty hostile environment between my dad, my sister, and myself and my stepmom. And I was like, okay, it's time to leave. So I got my passport ready. I filed for my daughter's visa. And then I contacted the American consulate. I was like, I need to file for divorce because my dad's pressuring me to go back. It became pretty bad at that point, you know, to the point where like my dad was locking me in the house. I was like, great, now I come from my husband locking me in the house and now my dad's locking me in the house. Like, what the hell? So I called the American consulate and they gave me a lawyer. As soon as I filed for Hula, the papers got to my husband and my dad found out and he loses his shit.
All right. So just to be clear, just for audience to understand, women can't go anywhere without the permission of their male owner, basically.
Yeah.
If you're not married, that would be your dad. If you're married, that would be your husband. So,
yeah.
So they have that built in the system so that when you actually apply for a visa, your male owner gets a notification. That
it wasn't the visa.
Your property is about to leave.
It wasn't the visa. It was the divorce papers. So once my ex-husband got served the divorce papers, because I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born in the U.S., so he wouldn't really get notified. But my daughter was born in Pakistan.
Okay.
So I contacted the consulate. I was like, no, this is the kind of stuff that's going on. You know, can you guys help me? So they were like, you know, we'll get you a lawyer and this and that.
Why couldn't you leave, then get a divorce?
Because I don't know, I didn't think this thing through. I thought that it was all cool and, you know, there's just a lot going on and I was already like so traumatized from everything before. I just was not thinking ahead, I guess.
Okay.
So khula is it's really, because you hear a lot of people that, I guess many of the apologists and the moderates who say that, you know, Islam is a feminist religion and they gave women their rights, gave the women the right to divorce. Khula is really just the right to seek a divorce from your husband. It's not the right to, the husband can divorce you simply by pronouncing you divorced 3 times and then you're divorced. But for the woman, she has to actually get pretty much permission.
For divorce and then is up to being approved or not.
Right. So it's definitely not equal.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So then as soon as he got served the papers, my dad loses the shit. Like he starts yelling and cursing and, you know, I have the passports ready. I'm like, okay, you know, if things get bad, I'm just going to leave with my daughter. I have the passport ready and everything. The next day.
Why is your dad upset again? Like, what's the point? Like, what's your... So
well, he's like, well, I told you need to make this thing work out. Why are you trying to get it?
And why are they so set on making you work it out with your husband?
Because now I'm used property and nobody else is going to marry me, and then I'm going to be like a burden on my dad, and he'll have to provide for me. I don't freaking know what the reasoning was.
Right.
So, you know, that happened. As soon as my dad finds out that my ex-husband got served the divorce papers, he loses his shit. He's like, you know, why would you do this? Why would you disobey me? You know, what you want to always do whatever the hell you want to do. This is ridiculous. And then, you know, I just became really reclusive at that point. I wouldn't even leave my room. I would just stay inside all day. And then he came over. He's like, you know what? You seem really depressed. And let's go for a ride. Let's go to the park. Bring your daughter. So like all of a sudden I'm like, oh wow, my dad's changed man. You know, I'm going to go for a ride to the park with him. This is really weird. I don't remember the last time I was at the park with him. So I go with my daughter and like, he's just like driving around in circles. And I'm just like, where are you going? Like, we're not really going to the park. Why are you going around in circles? He's like, I just want to talk to you. I'm like, talk to me about what? And he wouldn't even talk to me. Just like basically drove around in circles. He didn't even go to a park. And then he just dropped me back home. I'm like, that's weird. So, okay, I came home. I went back to my closet, started looking for the passport. And both my passport and my daughter's passport are missing. I'm like, jerk. I'm like, I can't believe you did that. Like, I actually trusted the guy. And for a second, I was like, wow, he actually cares for me. Like, he actually feels for me. Like, you know, maybe he loves me because he's my dad. But no, he does this shit. You know, he just makes me leave with him so that my sister and my stepmom can go in the room and look for my passport, my daughter's passport, and take it away.
That's so fucked up.
Exactly. And then, basically like, just like, I don't know what's going to happen. The next day, first thing in the morning, I'm sleeping and my daughter's sleeping. I think it was like a Saturday or something, or I think maybe it was like summer vacation. I think my daughter wasn't even in school at that point. And I locked my door, and I heard, as soon as I heard my ex-husband's voice, I was like, oh shit. Like I heard him like in the house. I locked the door and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just like shaking. I can't believe like, he actually brought the guy inside the house. And he's like,
your dad brought him inside the house.
Yeah, he brought him inside the house. Now this is the same guy. A year ago, he was like shooting with an AK-47 at the guy. And now he brings the guy inside the house to take me away. Like, I can't believe you're actually doing this. And I just locked the door. And then my dad brings a freaking a screwdriver and basically takes the whole door off the hinges. And then I'm just sitting there, like grabbing my daughter. Like my daughter was like 3 years old at that point, not even 2.5 years old. And like my ex-husband walks in the room and my dad, and they both wrestle my daughter out of my arms. And then my ex-husband, my daughter's like screaming and crying, and my ex-husband just like runs away. And my aunt is there, and my dad's sister, and my dad, and they're like, well, if you don't go back now, you're never going to see your daughter again. So I'm just like losing my shit. I'm like, you guys are such fucking assholes. And I lose my shit. And my aunt is like, you need to be a good Muslim mother and you need to be a good wife. She's trying to give me like this whole lecture. I lose my shit. I just like smacked her right across the face. I'm like, fuck you and your fucking sermon. And my dad is like, how dare you slap your aunt? She is your elder. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You guys are fucking assholes. And well, let me backtrack on that. So before this whole thing happened, I forgot to tell you guys. So before the whole, screw the door off the hinges and everything, my dad actually brought my husband over a couple times in the house, tried to talk to me. And my ex-husband comes in and my dad actually locks everything on the outside. And now I'm locked in with my husband in the same room and I can't leave the room because he locked from the outside. And my husband goes to me, he's like, you can't kick me out of here because your dad brought me and I can do whatever the hell I want and you have to listen to me. And I had just made a cup of tea in the morning. I'm like, I can't believe this, So the only thing I could do was just like throw my tea at his face, like hot steaming tea. And then he's like, oh, you fucking nut job. Like, I can't believe you attacked me. And then I threw the cup at him too. I'm like, yeah, that's for all the fucking years of you beating the shit out of me. Like, if you stay here anymore, I'm going to fucking kill you. So then he starts like yelling and screaming. He's like, let me out. Your daughter is a fucking nut job. She's attacking me. She threw tea at me. She threw her mug at me and blah, 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 blah. So that happened. And then 2 days later after that, the whole episode of my dad bringing me over and taking my daughter away. So then I'm like sitting there, like crying my eyes out. I'm like, I can't believe you guys like would do this. Like, you guys betrayed the shit out of me. Like, what the hell? And my dad is like, you did this to yourself for being disobedient. You disobeyed your father. You disobeyed your dad. And look what happened to you. Now you don't even have your child. This is all your fault. I'm like, wow. Like, really? Like, what the hell? So, and then he was just like, kept telling me, like, you need to go back. I'm like, I will not go back. And at that point, I was just like, no matter what, like after everything you guys done, there is no way I'm going to listen to you guys. I am not going back. So I refused to go back. I stayed there for another 2-3 days at my dad's house, just like every day, arguing with my dad, just like crazy fights every day. And then one day, like, it just escalated, and my dad said, I wish you had died the day that you were born. And then he came outside with the Quran in his hand and like went outside. He's like, I pray to God, I hope like all the evil fall upon you. I hope you had died and you are the worst child and I'm this and that. And I just lost my shit. I was like, you know what, screw you. And I just like walked out with whatever I was wearing. I had no idea where I was going to go. And I just left. And my stepsister started yelling, oh my God, she's leaving. And my dad's like, like, I hope she dies. She's never going to be anything. She's going to be a prostitute on the street. She has no skills. Blah, 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 blah. So I just like, before I left, I was like, you know what, watch me. And I just left and I just shut the door in his face and I just left. And I started walking and I got into a rickshaw and the guy's like, well, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know, just keep driving. And then it took me a while to figure out where I'm going to go. I ended up at a friend's house and then I contacted the American consulate and I told them what happened. And the consulate was like, well, we can help you get back to the States, but we cannot do anything with your daughter because she's a Pakistani citizen and you need to go.
How did you have your U.S. citizenship?
I was born in the U.S.
Born in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're like, we can help you get back to the States, but we can't do anything about your daughter because she's a Pakistani citizen. So you need to go through the Pakistani courts. Since you already have a divorce case in the proceeding, maybe you should add this too. So I contact the lawyer and the lawyer's like, well, your daughter is already 3 years old at this stage. And according to Pakistani law, the father is the natural guardian and, you only have right until you're breastfeeding the child. And, you can't really have her. Even if you go to court, you're just going to waste your money. And at that point, I didn't even have much money. I just had enough money to basically get a ticket and get to the U.S. So when I landed, at that point, I just sat and thought about it. I'm like, either I can sit here and just either be homeless on the streets of Pakistan or I can just go back to the States and figure shit out and later on come back and deal with the situation. So that's what I did. I had the American consulate, help me finalize the divorce and everything, and came to the U.S. Had no idea what I was going to do. Basically came here with barely any money to my name.
And they issued you a new passport and everything like that?
Yeah,
they knew you were a U.S. citizen.
I filed that my passport was stolen and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I came here and, just worked my butt off. Tried contacting my daughter for 8 years on and off. Didn't hear from her.
8 years?
Yeah, 8
Holy
years.
Shit.
And that's not what you thought when you left. You didn't think that it would be 8 years when you left.
Yeah,
right?
I thought maybe it would be 6 months, maybe 7 months, maybe a year max. Every year that went by, every Mother's Day was such a freaking ordeal. People would say, oh, happy Mother's Day. And inside I'll be like, oh my God, what the hell? I could barely hold my tears. And people would ask me, oh, do you have any kids? I'll be like, yeah, I have a daughter. And they're like, oh, no, how is she? What does she like? And I'd be like, I don't know. It was just so awkward talking about it. And, so for 8 years, I didn't know what I was going to do. For the first, I'd say 4 years, I was struggling to even make ends meet, and basically came here with nothing. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I went back to school and everything. And then eventually I was financially stable enough. I'm like, okay, now maybe I can go back. Maybe I can do something. I contacted a few lawyers and tried to learn the laws and everything. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Even if I get to meet her or hear her voice, if it's court mandated, that would be better than the situation that I'm in right now. And so that's what I did. I filed for custody back in 2014. And I filed for a bunch of different cases. I filed that, if something happened to me when I go back to Pakistan, these people are responsible and all these things. Before I filed for that custody thing, I made sure everything that was online, I just completely removed my online presence. So if there was anything that I talked about, against Islam or, for women's rights or any of those things, I made sure none of that footprint was online. So it took years of preparation before even starting this.
So during these years, you did mention stuff about Islam online, and you just went back and deleted them.
Yeah,
right.
Basically.
So at this point, you were already an atheist, ex-Muslim atheist?
I was that back in Pakistan in 2005.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And at that point, I had already expressed to my husband, because he would say, he would just pull all these Quranic verses every time he would beat me. And I would be like, I don't believe in all that. And he would just shove the Quran in my face. And then I would be like, I don't believe in all that. It doesn't make a difference.
That always works when you show them. All right,
and then he was like, "You're possessed by the jinn," and he would just mix some dua or something in water with that was written in saffron, and just mix it in the water and try to spray it on me like I'm some sort of demon or something.
Exorcising. He was trying to do an exorcism.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, nope, not working. Still not working. So he's like, "Oh, you're possessed by a very strong demon." I'm like, "Yeah, it's called a brain."
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So then, I came here.
Such a good quote. I'm going to use.
We're going to have to. That's going to be a pull quote for this episode. Sorry.
Feel free to.
Yeah.
So then I came here. I just removed all the online presence and everything. But as soon as I filed for custody, my ex-husband lost his shit. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell the judge you drink, you have boyfriends, you have this, you have blah blah blah. You disrespected the Quran, you don't believe in Islam. You watch what I'm gonna do to you." I'm like, "Okay."
And you're in Pakistan at this point?
No, I was still in the U.S.
Okay, but to do this, you have to go to Pakistan.
No, I contacted lawyers online from the U.S. And I sent them everything by mail, and they did everything over there.
Okay, good.
So then he loses his shit. He's like, "Wait, I'm going to pull all your Facebook, blah, 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 blah." And then I guess he goes online and he can't find anything. He's like, I don't know, he probably was thinking, fuck, I wish I had saved all that before.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So he couldn't find anything. And then, his response right away to the custody thing was, she's not a Muslim anymore and she disrespected the Quran. When I eventually did go to Pakistan in front of the judge, and he's like, "Yeah, she threw the Quran at me, and she doesn't believe in Islam, and she doesn't believe in Muhammad, and blah 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 blah." And tried all this shit, and I had talked to my lawyer beforehand, and my lawyer's like, "We can go with that with the defense that he's just using the blasphemy laws to try to basically have you back off." But I'm not gonna lie, at that point, when the second that I received the response to the custody battle where he said, she doesn't believe in Islam, I was like, oh shit. And the first thing I did was like, look up the blasphemy laws in Pakistan. The thing was like capital punishment. I'm like, oh crap,
So you were thinking that not only you might not get your daughter, you might actually go to Pakistan and get the death penalty.
Exactly. So now I'm like, oh crap, I don't think I really thought this through.
Right.
So I'm just like, oh shit, basically. And you talk to the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, don't worry, everything is going to be okay. But that's the whole mentality. The lawyers, even if the shit's hitting the fan, they're like, oh, don't worry, everything is going to be okay, God willing. Every time it's like, inshallah, everything will be great. I'm like, no, don't say inshallah. Like, what is the probability? And then every time it would be like, inshallah. And I would just like get so pissed off because I would like.
Inshallah means God willing, right?
Right.
Yeah. And my natural instinct would be like, don't fucking say that word. Just tell me what are the probabilities of me getting hung. But then I couldn't like really say that, because in a way, me telling them not to say inshallah, I guess is like sort of blasphemy.
Confirming, yeah.
Yeah. So
the lawyer might join the other side. We're like, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to be like, really careful with what I say and what I do. I'm just like, oh shit. So the lawyer's like, oh, don't worry, you come and you're going to tell the judge, and everything's going to be okay. And the first thing that happened when I got there, and the first thing that the judge did was grant me a meeting with my daughter. And the most ridiculous thing about the meeting was it was a 2-hour meeting with my daughter twice a month. Like, how do you expect me to fly from the US twice a month? I'm not a fucking billionaire.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, come on, man. Like, I can't do this. So can you like make it like somewhat reasonable? He's like, okay, I'll give you a 4-hour meeting once a month. So now at this point, I can't really argue. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll just come once a month to Pakistan. I don't give a shit. So I was flying to Pakistan once a month for a 4-hour meeting. And half the time, my ex-husband didn't even show up to court with my daughter. So I would just sit there in court for 4 hours, and the judge wouldn't send the police over to get my daughter. The whole like, the whole system is so messed up, Right. And I was just like, I'm like, can you like, is this like, this is really ridiculous. I just flew 24 hours for this 4-hour meeting. My ex-husband lives 30 minutes away from court, and he can't bring my daughter to court for a 4-hour meeting. And I can fly 24 hours to come in and meet her. Like, what the hell? And then it just kept happening over and over and over until even the judge was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So then the judge like basically was like, if he doesn't bring her, then we're going to send the cops. This was like after the 6th meeting.
Wow.
How many times did you go back and forth, Rafya?
I was going back and forth for almost 2 years, every month.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. It's very expensive to fly. And the flight, I think one way is 20 hours, 16 to 20 hours or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And including the stops and everything, it comes up to like 24 hours. Yeah.
Jesus.
So I was literally just working my butt off here and then just flying. That's all I was doing. Just, I would leave on Friday. The meetings would be on Saturday morning. I would leave Friday evening or Friday afternoon, get there Friday night. Saturday morning, I would have the meeting, which most of the time he wouldn't show up to. And then Saturday night, I would have a flight back to the U.S. so I can be back in time for work on Monday.
That's with all the time zone differences. You could.
Yeah.
How was it when the first time you saw your daughter after 8 years?
Oh, the first time it was amazing. So it was actually her birthday. That's when the judge actually forced him to bring her. And the first
How
thing
old was
she was turning 12.
Did she remember you?
She didn't, not much, my husband had just filled her head with all these crazy stories and saying that, oh, your mom beat you and your mom was this horrible person and she didn't care about you. She just left you. She wanted to go to the US and enjoy her life. So she divorced me and she didn't want you anymore. So she left you with me and she didn't care about you and all this. He just told her all these crazy stories and she believed it for the most part. So when she first saw me, she was just very hesitant. Of course, when you've been told all these crazy things about this person and you don't know this person, I was basically a stranger to her. And I was sitting in court and I was like, hey, how are you? And somebody tried to take a picture of me and her. She's like, no pictures, and I'm just like, okay, all right, fine, no pictures, because her dad was like, her dad did not even want me to have a picture of me and her. That's how messed up he was in the head. I'm not even going to have you the pleasure of having a picture with your daughter the first time you see her after 8 years.
Right.
Yeah. So, no, just and then, I brought a birthday cake in court for her. And he was like, no, you can't have this cake. And he tried to have her return the birthday cake to me because I might have put some jadoo in it.
Jadoo means magic.
Yeah.
Cast a spell.
Yeah.
Like black magic spell.
Yeah. I'm like, you really who do you think I got this black magic from in the US? Come on, man. I just bought this cake down the street from the bakery. So my daughter comes back to me and she has tears in her eyes and she tries to give me back the cake. I'm like, I'm not taking the cake back. You can throw it in the garbage. I'm not taking it back. She's like, no, Dad doesn't want me to eat it because I'm like, because why? She's like, because there might be magic in it. I'm like, you really believe that? She just looked at me and smiled, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to say anymore. I'm like, you can just throw it out. It's okay. I won't be upset at you. And then my lawyer actually stood up for me, and my lawyer's like, what? He's trying to give her back the cake, and she just went and just embarrassed the shit out of the guy. She's like, you really think this woman, has been flying here all this time to give you a cake with black freaking magic in it? Come on, man, grow up. So he's like, okay, fine. And then, she goes home and then we start talking on and off, me and my daughter. But every time it was just it was so secretive. So she couldn't really talk to me, in front of her dad. So when her dad wasn't home, she would just send me a message. Hey, Dad's not home. Can I talk to you? So I talked to her and then
this is when you're in the US, you were stay connected?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Through
messaging system. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just so shitty because, he wouldn't let her talk to me and all this stuff. And, she had to be so secretive about talking to her own mom. She was committing some sort of crime or something. And, the whole situation happened and just it was a whole year of me meeting with her over and over. And then, one day she said to me, she's like, I don't think that you're that horrible of a person Dad made you out to be. I'm like, well, you should use your own mind. I'm sure you don't really know me, but once you get to know me, maybe you can make your own opinion as to what you think I am instead of somebody else telling you. So I put a lot of seeds of doubt in her head, and a lot of things. I used to send her birthday gifts when I was the whole 8 years that I didn't get to see her, and I kept the receipts of everything that I sent her. And I wrote everything down, and I asked her, hey, on this birthday of yours, did you get this specific gift I sent you? And she just looked at me like all confused. I'm like, okay. I'm like, how about this birthday? I sent you this gift. Did you get that? And she's just still looking at me like all confused. And then she goes, I got all those things, but they weren't from you.
Oh, wow. What assholes. Jesus.
I know. I'm like, well, and then I showed her like all the receipts and stuff of all the things that I sent her all over the years. And she's like, well, I didn't think that they were from you. I thought that was from Dad.
Oh, what an asshole.
Yeah.
It's one thing to just throw it away.
Yeah.
And it's another thing to actually give it
credit for it. Yeah.
Claim the credit for it. Wow.
And he never thought that any of those things had jadoo or magic or spells.
Yeah, I guess not. No.
The cake from down the street.
But it totally backfired, because by you keeping the receipt, you basically completely illustrated to her that how evil they are and how, wow.
I didn't even have to say anything. All I did was like, did you get this and this and this? I didn't even have to say, see, your dad is a terrible person and he lied to you. I didn't have to, I didn't even want to say all those things. Like, I didn't want to be a jerk like he was. You know, I just wanted her to use her brain. I was like, well, what did you get this? Did you get that? Even right before the custody case started, I sent her a bouquet of flowers and cake. And my daughter's like, I told her, I'm like, did you get the flowers? She's like, you sent them? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, no wonder. Like, Dad never bought me flowers. I was wondering why all of a sudden he bought me flowers, and he said that he got me flowers. I'm like, no, that was me.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
So that planted the seeds of doubt. Like, when I first showed her like proof, okay, the things that you got was actually from me, and he lied to you. Because she was in her head was like, oh, Dad is always right, and he's always telling me the truth, and you are the horrible person.
Right.
So that whole thing started the seed of doubt, and like she was like, oh wow, if he had lied to me about the presents, I wonder what else he lied to me about.
Right.
So then I started telling her different stories. Like I didn't actually like go out and tell her, your dad is this horrible person, which was really not my intent, because at the end of the day, he is still her dad. She has like this attachment with him. Maybe he was a shitty husband, but I don't know what kind of a dad he was. So, I was like, just telling her all these different things. And then she started to realize like a lot of things that she had been told were not really truthful.
Like what?
Just like me beating her, for example.
Right.
He just kept telling her, remember that time your mom beat you? Remember that time your mom beat you? And, she was 2.5 years old. She doesn't remember anything. So when you keep repeating something to a child, they're eventually going to form these memories. They're going to start thinking that this thing actually happened. Right, they're even going to, I can remember it like it actually happened.
Right.
So I asked her, I'm like, he's told you I beat you, but for what? What do you think I beat you for? She's like, I don't know. Like, well, if you don't really know, like, do you really think that I did that? So just like a lot of those things just started like making her think, like, right. The more I started talking to her, the more I realized that she was starting to think about these things. At first, she was even very apprehensive to even talk to me. And then towards the end, it became clear to her that she actually wanted to come and stay with me and live with me.
Right.
But she was still too afraid to tell the judge that she wanted to live with me.
Yeah, so, because if it doesn't work out, now she has to go live with with her dad, and knowing that she said that to the judge.
Yeah.
Right.
So her dad and her dad's lawyer would, right before the court case, she would come up to me and she would say, Dad and his lawyer told me that if I go back to the U.S. with you, you're going to make me sweep the floors, and you're going to make me mop the floors and this and that, and you're going to make me your servant. I'm like, what? Like, what is that supposed to mean? I'm like, I mop floors and I sweep. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm going to make you do all of my things. You're just going to be as responsible of a human being as I am. You're going to pick up after yourself. It's not like I'm taking a servant. Like, why would I come here and spend all this money to come and see you? I could just like hire somebody over there to clean up after me. This is a lot more difficult. Like, it doesn't make sense.
This was all your plan to get, like, spend all this money to get a servant.
Yeah, like go through all that stress.
I should told her about Craigslist.
Exactly.
Right.
And not even that. Like every time I would go and like even before I went to Pakistan, I actually had to learn self-defense because my ex-husband told me as soon as I got the custody papers, he's like, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that. Like he would stand outside the courtroom where the judge couldn't see him, and he would do like this to me, like I'm going to cut your throat.
He would make a cutting motion across his throat with his thumb, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I'm like, Yeah, so I'm like sitting in front of the judge, and I would just look to my side, and he's sitting outside, and he's doing this.
Wait, so what happened with accusing you of blasphemy? Other than the legal trouble, wouldn't you be worried that people might one day attack you?
If it had gotten out to people, definitely, and that's why like I kept my profile really low. So wouldn't for him be a strategic move to go spread rumors about your blasphemy so that it becomes a security issue for you to even show up? I guess, yeah, but also at that point he wasn't really sure whether my dad was involved in this whole custody case or not, because apparently they were on talking terms at that point, and he told. Like even at one point, he told me it's this whole plan between you and your dad to destroy me and this and that, So like at that point, he wasn't really sure how many people were behind this custody case, so he couldn't just completely go all out and then.
So he was afraid that it could backfire on him security-wise for him.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And every time I would go to court, I would show up with the whole security detail. I would hire these guards, and I would come to court with all these guards. So my ex-husband, in his head, is probably thinking that this is all like my dad's people that I'm showing up to court with.
Yeah,
because he probably thought that in his head, like there's no way she went to the U.S. for 8 years and now all of a sudden she's coming back like all full force with like a whole security detail and everything. Like it's probably her dad behind this.
Right.
And also,
hurting you would be a security threat for him.
Exactly. I mean, that's all I'm thinking. That could be, the main reason why he didn't like go all out with the whole thing. Okay. And also, like after court, he would actually follow me, try to figure out where I'm living. So, after court, I would have to so many times I would have to drive into a mall parking lot, like underground mall parking lot, to change my driver and the car and get into a different car and a different driver so that he wasn't able to follow me. Like it was just like some crazy stuff.
This is so insane. Custody battle has never been this. I didn't know you could turn a custody battle into a movie like that. Yeah.
Well, this is a custody battle with blasphemy thrown into it. So
right.
There's he's using the blasphemy laws. So all of the threats that come with.
Yeah.
So how did you defend against the blasphemy laws?
So my lawyer was like, we can tell the judge that he's just using this as a tactic for you to not talk to your daughter. And the judge was like, basically asked me a bunch of questions and I answered his questions and he seemed satisfied with it.
Like what questions?
So things like, did you do this and that? Did you do this and that? Like all these accusations that he's making, did you do this? And I was like, no,
did you do this with the Quran? Like, did you...
I don't know. I don't really want to get into the details of exactly what the judge was asking, but stuff like that. And basically, my lawyer was able to get that dismissed on the basis of that it was like a retaliatory on his part.
This guy's basically he's trying to is so desperate to try anything to win, so that's what he's saying. And he had no proof that you did anything.
He did not have any proof, and that's what the judge specifically asked him. He's like, "Do you have any proof? Like all these claims that you're making." He's like, no, but she did that. So the judge was like, do you have any 4 male witnesses that can come in and say? And he didn't have any 4 male witnesses.
So
shouldn't he get the punishment? Isn't the Quranic verse that says that you need 4 male witnesses? If you don't have 4 male witnesses, he should get punished. But you're about to say that it's very...
So in Pakistan, the laws are very convoluted. So in certain things, they use Islamic laws, but in certain things, they use the laws that were passed down from when India and Pakistan used to be one country, and there were the British rule and the British laws. So like a lot of the laws are all mixed up, and it's just like, it doesn't make sense. So in the Guardians and Ward Act, for example, it says the parent that is most suitable for the child should be getting the child's custody. But then they throw in the Islamic laws that the father is the natural guardian and he should be. But if the father is a bum and it's a homeless guy and the woman is educated and has a job, then what?
Right.
You know, so it's just like a whole mixed bag where the judges can't say, well, we're going to use the secular law from like India and Pakistan and the British rule. But then people will lose their shit when they realize that, you know, the judges are really using the Islamic law where Pakistan is an Islamic state. So they should use Islamic law, you know, so the people that, for example, like if a guy's like, you know, I should get the custody of the child but doesn't have a job, and the judge says, no, the wife should get the child's custody because she has a job and she can take care. And then the guy can claim, well, you're going against Islam and you know, you're this and that. So now it's just like... It's
so the judges would be afraid of the mob? Like, is that
I guess so. Like, that's my understanding, you know, because it's just like, it doesn't make sense. It's just like so messed up.
Well, with the
power of Islam, when you get to intimidate the judges, when you get to intimidate your own government with Islam, it shows how powerful Islam is.
There's one thing I should point out here, and I was going to bring this up later on, but I think this is probably a good time to quickly talk about it, is that when it comes to blasphemy, a lot of times all of the lawyers are in it too. So, for instance, one of the most I guess the most famous incidents of a blasphemy murder in Pakistan was Pakistan's largest province is Punjab, and the governor of Punjab, the elected governor of Punjab, his name was Salman Taseer. He had gone and shown solidarity with a woman, a Christian woman named Asia Bibi, who is now in prison charged with blasphemy. So he had gone and made an appearance with her and said that, spoken out against blasphemy laws, and it basically advocated for Asia Bibi to be released from prison, right? And his bodyguard, his own bodyguard,
right,
was a very religious guy, shot him and killed him. This is the governor of Punjab. Now, when his bodyguard shot him,
the person that was hired to protect him basically turned on him and killed him.
Basically turned on him. He shot him like many, many times, brutally, just murdered him. Right. Then what happened was that this guy, the murderer, his name is Mumtaz Qadri, you know, big mullah guy with a beard and everything. He became a hero. All of hundreds and hundreds of lawyers came and they said that we will defend him for free because he defended the honor of the prophet. Right. Because the governor was basically saying, you know, whoever insults a prophet, you know, he was against blasphemy laws. So when he became a hero, and eventually he was hanged, and if you go online and if you look up pictures of Mumtaz Qadri's funeral, this guy was hanged, the murderer who was hanged.
So he became a martyr, basically, in the eyes of
there are millions of people in those crowds. And, you know, when you talk about fringes and, you know, this is just a minority, there are millions of people. There is now a shrine where people go, Mumtaz Qadri shrine, this assassin's shrine where the people go and they pay homage to him. So even the legal community, even the lawyers over there, they're all in this. They're all sympathetic to the blasphemy laws.
Right, and this, but the crowd, the number of people that showed up for his funeral was so shocking that it even woke up some, you know, upper class liberal Pakistanis to how big of a problem this is in Pakistan.
Yeah, because they just thought it was a fringe. They
thought it was a fringe, and to this day, there are some Pakistanis that they're still upper class liberals, and they're like, oh no, Pakistan is not that bad, and whenever they say that, these are the images that we show them, because this was incredible, the number of people that showed up for the funeral of a murderer that basically killed somebody just because he didn't even blaspheme. He protected somebody that was blaspheming.
I'm going to, and I'm making a note of some of the links that we're going to put on the description of this podcast, and I'll actually put up.
But basically the point is, this is how dangerous it is. Like, you need to. There was a woman that they tortured for I don't know how many days and then killed. There was a couple. There was a couple that they kidnapped, tortured for a whole week, and then killed. And there's not even, people are not even sure that they blasphemed. There was just an accusation that they blasphemed. So, you know, in Pakistan, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I get accused of blaspheming in Pakistan, it's probably safer for me to get arrested, because the mob is more dangerous than the government, isn't it? Like, wouldn't you want to stay in prison at that point?
Yeah, I think so. And then at that point also, I feel like I'm not sure, like if all the lawyers are on the side of the people, you know, that are on the side that are against people that do blasphemy. I think also half the time these lawyers are also afraid because like there has been you know, instances where the lawyers have been shot up in their offices because they've been protecting people or they've been representing people that are being accused of blasphemy. So I'm sure they don't want to, you know, have somebody.
Was your lawyer afraid of taking your case because you were being?
She did ask me. She's like, so give me all the details and stuff. So like I had to be very careful about, you know, the stuff that I was able to tell her because, you know, at the end of it, I knew this was a Pakistani republic. I knew that these lawyers are you know, pretty much Muslim. And, you know, she was asking me, so from my mom's side of the family, I'm Sunni Muslim. And from my dad's side, I'm Shia. So even my lawyer was trying to convert me to Sunni Muslim. She's like, you know, well, Shia is not that great, you know, so you should convert to Sunni Muslim. And if you're Sunni, things would have been way better for you. I'm like,
your lawyer is trying to convert you to Sunni Islam. Okay.
Yeah. So she's like, so what kind of Islam do you believe in? And I'm sitting there. I'm like, God, no, seriously.
Stop. Just stop. Save
so,
my daughter.
I just had to like be like, you know, I just believe in being a good person. I think that's what's important. But,
that's blasphemy right there.
Yeah.
Being a good person.
Yeah.
Well, no, the jest part is a blasphemy. I just believe being a good.
Yeah.
That means you do not believing in Islam.
Yeah.
Being a good person is blasphemy, and having a brain is being possessed by it.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion of this podcast.
But okay, so what happened? How did you? Is it a happy ending? I don't even know the ending right now.
Well, that's what we're gonna get to now.
Okay. Yeah. So then you know, I basically was flying back and forth to Pakistan. So at this point, my ex-husband is not a very well-off guy, right? You know, yes,
kidding.
But he realizes that this crazy lunatic woman is basically flying back and forth from the US every month to come and see this girl. Like half the time she doesn't even get to see her, but she's still coming. She's still going strong. And one day outside of court, he goes like, I'm going to throw acid in your face. And I go to him. I'm like, well, I won't stop coming back here until I get my daughter. So we can either do it the easy way, or we can continue to keep coming back to court, because for me, it's not a big deal. I'm going to keep coming back to court. I have nothing else better to do. So I can keep coming back here and you can keep coming back here too. And we're going to have a great time in court. And he just looks at me. He's like, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, yep. Like, let's do it. Like, I'm going to keep coming back and you're going to keep coming back here and we can have a good time. Or you can decide to be a decent human being and, you know, do the right thing, because I'm not going to keep your daughter away from you. I want her to have both her parents. But it is up to you. But if you're going to be a jerk about it, then bring it on. So he's like, you know, he just looks at me. And then at that moment, like I saw the fear in his eyes, you know, and he just looked at me. He's like, you're just like, you're not the same woman I used to beat the crap out of. So I had that conversation with him. And then the next month, like, he went up to my lawyer. He didn't even come up to me. He went up to my lawyer and he's like, you know, I want to have an out of court settlement. But these are my rules, and I want this, and I want her to do that, and I want her to tell me where she lives. And my lawyer came up to me, and she's like, "Oh, he's standing over there, and he's telling me all these, like, his demands and stuff." So I walk up to my ex-husband. I'm like, "You're not going to be the one that's making the demands. This is how we're going to do it, and you want to do it this way? Fine. If you don't want to do it this way, then we're going to keep continuing to do the things that we've been doing for the past 2 years." So I basically broke the guy down to the point where he realized that, you know, I wasn't going to give up. I'm going to keep coming back to Pakistan, because it was hot as hell in the court. And he had to sit there in court for 4 hours because he was too scared that I was going to take my daughter and run off. So he's sitting in the court, and there's no air conditioning in the court. So he's sitting in the heat waiting for, you know, my daughter to get out of court, you know, after 4 hours. Every month.
At this point, does he still think that maybe your dad is behind this, and maybe that's
like he wasn't still sure. And at that point, I also I didn't really cover the story of my mom's side of the family, but turns out my mom's side of the family are in the military, and my uncle is high up in the military and stuff. And then he found out about that I met
your real moms.
Yeah, right. During the whole custody battle, I actually found my mom's side of the family too, because I had been searching for them for 15 years.
How did they manage to do that to your mother if they had military family?
So my mom's side of the family was Sunni, and my dad was Shia. And when my mom decided to marry my dad, it was just a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so even for your mom's side of the family, that was she was basically a big no-no. Wow.
Yeah. So, when that happened and they, because my mom was still in touch with her brothers and sisters, but, her parents were still pretty old school and they didn't want to have anything to do with it after she had decided what she wanted to do.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And, basically they didn't really keep in touch. And then somehow I found them. I just went on this hunt for 15 years and found my uncle in Texas, and, just got in touch with them, met all the family and stuff. And even my uncle and, my ex-husband was actually, my daughter texted me this while I was still in the custody case situation, that my dad is trying to find you out through your cell phone signal. So the first thing I did was I called my uncle in Pakistan. I'm like, is this possible for somebody to track me down through my cell phone signal? And my uncle goes, you need to book your ticket right now and leave for the US right now, because it is possible. And he can find out where you are right now. So he's like, put your phone on airplane mode. So I had to put my phone on airplane mode, fly back to the US right away. And I had
That's how they found Bin Laden, actually.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So my uncle was like, yeah, you need to leave right now. So I had to leave and then come back the next month and do it all over again.
Wait, what do you think your husband was trying to find you to murder you?
I don't know what he was trying to do.
Right. Okay.
I don't know what he was trying to, but I was ready. Before even I went to Pakistan, I was trained in hand-to-hand combat and all that stuff, So I was like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, you actually learned martial art, Israeli.
Yeah, I learned Krav Maga before going to this. I'm not even kidding. I really learned hand-to-hand combat.
I'm telling you, it was a Jewish prayer. It was a Jewish prayer that works. I'm telling you.
So I was in class one day with one of my instructors. So this is the custody case going on, and one of my favorite instructors, Josh Greenwood. I asked him, I'm like, hey, so if somebody tries to throw acid in my face, how would I defend myself against it? And he's like, he pulls me to the corner. He's like, is there something you need to tell me?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, actually I do. So I told him the whole story. So he actually trained me. He's like, if the acid is coming from this direction, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to attack, and this is where you need to go.
God.
So he would make me stand against the wall, and he would start punching, because I was scared. I still had PTSD.
You should have practiced with water.
No, we practiced hardcore. He had 4 guys attacking me at the same time. I had to defend myself.
Did he fill a glass of water and try to throw it at you?
No, he just had me against the wall, and he would just throw punches that were a centimeter away from my eye, and I was not allowed to blink or close my eyes, because he trained me to keep my eyes open all the time and be totally aware of my surroundings and stuff.
So you could have actually beat the shit out of him if you.
Oh yeah, he trained me to beat the shit out of 4 guys at the same time. I was ready. I was ready to go. I was actually waiting for something like that to happen.
You went from
a gun.
Right.
I'm good to go.
You were please try something. Please try something.
As long as it's not a gun or a sniper rifle, I'm good.
I know. You went from somebody who was. For 6 years, this guy
was beating you.
And your dad, everything, and then now you're at the point where you're trained to beat 4 guys at once, and still this guy he threatened to throw acid in your face. He did the whole, I'm going to cut your throat. He did all of that. So,
all right. So what happened? This is good. What happened?
This really is like a movie. It's
right. This cannot not be a movie. Like this has to turn into a movie. All right.
So like I'm just telling my daughter like all about women's rights, and I'm like, when you come to the U.S., I'm going to teach you Krav Maga, and I'm going to teach you how to kick ass, and this. And she's just like looking at me. She's like, I can't do that. I'm like, hell yeah, you can do that. So I'm like pumping her up, and like she probably goes home, and her dad is like telling her to cover her head and pray, and she's like, shit, my mom's telling me I can go and mess shit up. This guy's telling me I need to cover my head and stay in the room and whatnot. So eventually she's like, I want to come stay with you, but I'm too scared to say it in front of dad. I'm like, well, what if you say it in front of the judge? She's like, well, what if the judge says no? I'm like, all right, let me figure this out. So I talked to the lawyer, talked to the judge, and I'm like, she wants to come and stay with me, but she's too scared to say that in front of her dad. And luckily the judge was a pretty reasonable guy. He was not a mullah type guy.
Wow.
He saw what I was going through. He saw the fact that I was putting in the effort, coming from the U.S., every month, sitting there for 4 hours, sometimes not even seeing her. So he saw what was going on, like what this guy was trying to do. And he's like, I understand, just we're going to have a meeting outside of the courtroom, and we're going to have a meeting in the chambers. And we had that meeting, and, my ex-husband came over, and the judge was like, why don't we do a situation where, she can go and, meet her, and, you can come and meet her. So I basically wrote down this whole agreement that I'm going to have the sole custody, and that I will not stop her from talking to her dad or meeting her dad and whatnot. And I was like, if you sign this, then it's all kosher. I'm not going to be the same person that you were and stop her from seeing you, because I'm not like you. And that's exactly what I did. Even my daughter first came to the U.S., the first year she was like, I really miss home, and I, want to go.
Wait, so, you jumped to her coming to the U.S.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So basically she went to the judge, and she said, I want to go to my mom. I want to live with my mom. And my ex-husband was just at that point, like really pissed off. And, and then the judge was like, you guys need to figure this out, and you guys need to sign a contract. And once everything is signed off, so we basically agreed for an out-of-court settlement. At that point, my ex-husband was just so worn out, keep coming to court over and over, that he was like, okay, fine, but as long as you agree that you're going to let me see her, and you're not going to stop her from talking to me and this and that. I'm like, no, I have no problem in her talking to you or your mom or the whole family. I'm not going to stop her from any of that.
Right.
And that's what I did, and then he signed off the papers. I, went to the consulate, actually got her citizenship and everything, and got her passport and everything ready. And that's it, we got the custody, and I got the tickets and everything. And she ended up coming to the U.S., and now I have sole custody.
Yay!
Yeah.
Can you hear me clapping? Okay, yeah. There you go.
So
wow.
Yeah.
That's but like, how did you feel after all that? After all you went through?
8 years.
Exhausted. It was
I'm
tiring.
surprised that when you say that, he was, he had to come all the way for every month to the courthouse. And you said he lived half an hour away, and then the 4 hours of heat in the courthouse and no air conditioning. And you were going like every month from here.
I went from running water to no running water. I was taking showers out of buckets. And I hadn't done that in probably never, like at my dad's house in Pakistan, I had plumbing, but where I was living to go through this whole ordeal, I was staying at a friend's house, and I had to take showers out of a bucket because the water wouldn't run all the time. When I would come back to the US, like after those 3 days, I'm like, yes, air conditioning, the things that I took for granted for so long. When I went back to Pakistan, I realized like a lot of those things are still the same over there, or probably even worse.
So she's happy now? She
is. She loves it here. She's going to school, and she wants to be a doctor and all that. And yeah.
She's really. I mean, I
you met her.
I met her, and I talked to her, and she's like actually. I don't know. She's just really, really smart. She's really intelligent. You wouldn't.
She's not your average 14-year-old.
She's definitely
very
not.
proud of you.
Yeah.
You thought so much. She might be a role model, but
yeah.
But this is like, I can't when you were saying your story, there were so many things that, like, you had a U.S. citizenship, you managed to go to the U.S. and raise enough money to be able to do the thing. There are so many things. Like, I can't imagine for your story how many girls are and how many women are in Pakistan right now.
Yeah, I do realize that I'm in a very, very privileged situation. The fact that I was born in the U.S. and I was able to come here. There are many, many women that are stuck there in situations that they cannot get out of it, and they don't have any other options available to them. And it is a lot harder for them. So I'm totally aware of the fact that I'm one of those people that have been extremely fortunate in this kind of situation. Not only that I got the custody, but the fact that the resources that I had available to me, a lot of those women over there, they don't have that available. And it just sucks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Armin.
I can't, but like, basically we have, like, you were being beaten, and I can't just imagine how many other girls right now are being beaten there over there by their fathers, and how many women there are being beaten by their husbands. And
their mothers-in-law, all the other women that enable it too. It's not just the men. If it was
it's just like the whole culture of just, I feel like everybody's just brainwashed into. I just don't understand it. Like, even I would think that as a mother-in-law, you probably went through the same crap. Why would you put another girl through the same shit that you went through?
Because they think this is how things are. This is how things are meant to be, I think.
That's what they sucks.
Think. Yeah.
I know. It's so, Rafya, do you have any advice, I guess, for those other women who are stuck in these situations, in the sense that, did you come across any resources or any sort of women's legal firms, or that support women in these situations in Pakistan that you could?
Actually, Ali, this is a very good question. And when you answer that, keep in mind that we do get a lot of downloads from Pakistan, right?
From Pakistan, yeah.
So we might be getting, like, there might be many women and girls in Pakistan that are listening to this podcast.
Right. And Rafya, if right now at the top of your head, if you can't think of it, then, feel free to let us know later on. We can put it in the description.
Put it in the link. Yeah. But any advice is also good, yeah.
The only advice that helped me get through it, because through this whole situation, I went through a lot of emotional highs and lows. When the first second that I landed in Pakistan, the whole PTSD and all of that depression and everything hit me like full force, and I was like, I can't believe I'm back in this. Like, the only word that I have for it is like this shitty situation, and like most of these people here, they're not here to stay behind my back, or have my back. Like, all these people, like, they really don't understand the pain that I'm going through, and it was like a shitty situation. But I think, like, at the end of it, like, you really have to just put one foot in front of the other. Like, when I went and filed for this custody case, I had no idea. I did not even expect that I was going to get my daughter's custody back, because I read all the laws and everything, and the laws clearly were like against me at that point. And I knew that. And I still went in there because I was like, I have nothing else to lose, and I'm going to put in my full effort into it. And I went through these emotional highs and lows where I was like, okay, I'm not going to get it. Like, I would go to Pakistan, fly for 24 hours there, 24 hours back, not get to see her, just like, it sucked. But I think you need to have grit in situations like this, and find the resources, find the people that are there that will help you. For me, the most important, as shitty as this sounds, the most important thing that helped me the most in this situation was the fact that I was financially stable enough to go back to Pakistan and have this, this legal battle, and have it go as long as it did, and have the resources to get the guards to go to court and stuff. And a lot of people don't have that. But if you are in a situation where you need to get out and you have enough time, figure out a way to either save up money or figure out a way where you can get in touch with people that can help you with that kind of situation, or find people that will help you without charging you a fee or something. Like, every situation is unique, but in my situation, I feel like the most important thing that I did was just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even though you don't see light at the end of the tunnel, just keep going, because at that point, you want to put in as much effort as you can. And that's the most important thing, not the outcome. As long as you know that you put in your full effort and you did every possible thing that you could. And, outcome is outcome. You can't really control the outcome. You can only control the amount of effort you're going to put into it.
Right. It's a bit also poetic that you, when you gave up on Islam, you tried a whole bunch of other supernatural methods, and then you got results once you stopped appealing to a higher power, and you use your own your own power, your own motivation.
On that note, though, when I did get my daughter's custody, so I had friends in Pakistan who actually stopped talking to me after my first talk in Hunter came out, and they found out that I was not a Muslim anymore. But I still love them. They help me out a lot. Just because I don't agree with their ideology, they don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I don't have anything against me. But they told me, since you got your daughter's custody, you should do a namaz shukrane, because, you got what you wanted. Namaz shukrane
means prayer, thank you prayers to God.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said to my friend, I got this because of my hard work. All those years that I prayed to God for my husband not to beat me, he continued to beat me. All those years that I prayed to God for my husband to give me back my daughter, he didn't give me back. The only time that I actually got it back was because I put in the hard work, and I should pray to myself.
Wait, say that again? Say that last part again?
It's like some Arabic thing. I don't even know what the hell it means, but it's like, it's like a really terrible thing that you're saying. I don't know what that
means. Wow. Fuck your God. I did this all myself.
Yeah.
Right. So the two things, one other, we have a comment from one of our patrons. He's talking about a movie called Not Without My Daughter, which is
Betty Mahmoudi, which is actually my middle name, Mahmoudi.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think your story is more bad. I've seen that movie. Your story is more badass.
I guess, she didn't really train in Krav Maga before going, so.
Right, exactly.
The movie is about that movie is about an American citizen who had to escape an abusive husband in Iran.
It was in the 80s, right?
It was. I think it came out in 1991, but I think that
the story was in the 80s. I think.
Yeah. Oh, the story. Yeah, the story was probably in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So that, and I also want to mention one more thing is. I told you.
Also, Regine D, she's saying, Rafya, you are immortal.
Yes.
Yeah, you are. There you go. Lots of people watching this right now live are actually just getting. I guess they're all having the same kind of reaction that Armin and I have right now. Like, they're just incredibly inspired and just very, very proud of you for what you pulled off. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is that we talked to you about Simi Rahman, right?
Yes.
Our friend, our common friend. So her sister actually is in a similar situation right now, where her husband is in, I think, India. Right, with their son. So she actually helped start something called, and this is for women who are in the United States who are in similar situations as you, and it's called the I Stand Parent Network. So the website is istandparentnetwork.com. istandparentnetwork.com. We'll put the link in the description too. And what they do is this is basically an advocacy group, and they lobby the government, and they've done it several times, a few times successfully, in order to get the children of women in the U.S. whose ex-spouse has essentially abducted their child and then taken them to
on that note,
country.
I also wanted to mention this book that I read that helped me a lot in this kind of situation, because this was also a parental alienation kind of situation where my daughter was like so against me. So I had to really understand the psychology of kids that are going through that kind of situation. So I read a lot on this guy wrote this book. His name is Dr. Richard Warshak. And he has written a lot about parental alienation and what you can do to combat that. And I used a lot of his teaching and what he taught about how to deal with this kind of situation to be able to actually get through to my daughter. Because at first she didn't even want to talk to me. She was just like, so like, oh, you are evil. And she was just completely dismissive. She didn't even want to look at me. And
you really went and educated yourself on the law, on child psychology, on how to
self-defense. I was like, I'm not going to be, not prepared this time. This time I'm going in full force. Are you gonna turn this into a book? That's the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look forward to that. I mean, this is like, okay, it's been 2 hours and it's pretty much whizzed right by. And I'm so glad, because I think we heard your speech. I heard you talk, and I just wanted it to go out everywhere and just hear more of the story, because I know when you go to these conferences, you have a limited amount of time.
And I'm a very, very nervous public speaker. I get very nervous.
Well, you can beat 4 men at the same time. So
but talking, I'm just like completely
public
different.
Speaking, it doesn't. I can't beat 1 man at the same time. So I don't even know. I think my wife can beat me up. So. Rafya, this is amazing. I just, everything you've went to, I'm just amazed by the sense of humor you have about it in retrospect. I guess in a way, all's well that ends well, but you clearly haven't forgotten what you went through. You don't take anything for granted. And this is one thing I notice, I think, about, people. You have people who have a sort of victimhood mentality a lot of times, and I notice people over here, and not to say that those experiences aren't real, but usually when I see people who've actually been through these things and who have come out of it positively, I remember growing up in Saudi Arabia, knowing that I couldn't say certain things, and now I don't take freedom of speech for granted even for a single day here. I remind myself.
I always think about it this way: like, shit happens. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to blame the shit that happened to you like 10 years, 5 years, whatever years ago, and continue living let that shit control the rest of your life? Or are you going to use that to propel you forward and to make you a stronger person?
Right. And either way, you're not negating that experience. You're recognizing that experience. It's not like you're just getting over it. And that there are effects of that experience that still affect you and still affect others who are less fortunate. But you have to make something constructive out of it. And I think that's incredibly inspiring. And I'm so glad I met you, and I'm so glad that we had you on here, and I'm so glad we heard your story.
See, I think your story is not just a story. It's also kind of like a really effective self-help book, basically telling people to take control over their lives. And I think, it's such a great way to say it with a real story, right? Yeah, and not relying on other powers or somebody to come save you.
Yeah, because I know how it is to not be in control. Right. I saw the effects of that and have this boogeyman in the sky to be in control of your affairs. And I saw how that worked out, and I saw how it worked out when I was in control of my affairs. So
Yeah, and you're also very fair to acknowledge that some of the resources that you had that a lot of other women probably they're probably trapped, and they may.
I do realize I'm in a very, very privileged situation. A lot of people are not, and that's why I was like, the only advice I can give you, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and stop thinking that this is going to be the outcome. Just put the full effort, and then outcome is going to be whatever. You can't control the outcome. You can only control it.
And maybe even look for things around you that, like, just for instance, I mean, when you say you're privileged, so let's not, I know you're saying that, but to be fair, I mean, there were a lot of shitty things that you had. You had your father.
I say this to people, but I was also homeless at a point. I lived out of my car when I came to the U.S.
Right. So your struggle. I mean, you had a lot of stuff. So you weren't exactly super privileged, but you had a couple of things.
I mean, everybody is privileged compared to somebody else.
Right. Yeah. So I think what you did, the lesson here that at least I'm getting, and this is not just a lesson about, I guess, the women and children and so on, but even for me, just as a human being, the lesson I'm getting is that look around yourself. Even if 90% 99% of your life is shitty, try to look for the one or two things you may have that are plus points. Like maybe you're really good at school and you have an education, that's your way out. Maybe, you have a friend who's well connected or whatever it is. In your case, you happen to be born in New York, so you had that little thing that helped you get out of it. So
the thing is that
try to find something or create something, that even if things are crap, and maybe that's a small spark. Maybe that's a beginning, and it could take 8 years like it took you, but eventually the persistence could pay off, right?
So life did deal you a really shitty hand, but just one part of it wasn't as shitty, and you basically took advantage of that and changed the whole thing around. You changed the whole thing. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you're responsible for most of the change. Like you were in a shitty situation and you decided that you're not going to accept that and you're going to turn that around.
You and me, definitely. You need to put in the work. You can't just, expect shit to be handed to you.
Right. Exactly.
And by the way, Jean D is mentioning only she can make us laugh and cry in mere minutes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up.
That sums it up.
Is there anything else you want to share? Anything else you want to say?
No,
where can people find you?
Yeah.
Where can people find me? I mean, I'm hidden as of right now. I don't think that I want to be public.
Not location-wise. Like, if they want to follow your social, do you have like social media?
Email you if they want to.
Website.
Let me think about that, and then maybe you guys can put it on the link. But I'm not really sure if I want to put that out right away.
That's perfectly fine.
Maybe make like a new email account specifically for. That.
Yeah, maybe I could do that. Have people send me questions, concerns, comments, and whatnot.
Right.
Hate letters, love letters, all that stuff.
Yeah, and you could write back and say, "Don't doubt."
Yeah.
Or no doubt.
Don't doubt to everybody.
Just doubt.
Yeah.
Never doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you. It's truly an honor. It was great speaking with you guys.
The honor is ours.
Definitely. Yeah, and keep on doing the work that you're doing. I think that the fact that you're out and you're talking about how you lost faith in the religion and everything as well.
Right.
In relation to this, everything kind of fits together. It's really,
it's amazing that you're not holding back on that after all the shit that you have to go through because you were open about it. You're now like
yeah. So and I'm probably going to see you soon. I'm not going to give away the location, but the next conference.
Yes.
We're probably going to end up meeting up, so I'm looking forward to that and seeing your daughter too. So.
James in the live chat is saying thank you for sharing your story. Mike,
thank you, James.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so thank you guys in the live chat. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, James. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Where is it? Blonde Infidel. I really like that username.
And everybody who wants to, I mean, if you want to watch if you're listening to if you like what you hear here, if you like the story, if you like these stories that are coming out that we're bringing to you, then please do go to secularjihadist.com, sign up as a patron and support us. Or, if you can't support us financially, then, share this link, and put out the story, tell your friends about it. These are really, really important stories, and we want to get them out there because it's a narrative you don't hear very often.
And also, if you're listening to the audio version of this and you're a patron, look in the description. There's a link to the video version of this that only patrons have access to the video version. If you want to see us, not just listen to us. Anyways, thank you guys. You guys stay on. I'm just gonna stop the broadcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
The secular jihadists have been made possible thanks to the Illuminati and the covert support of Israel and the CIA. That's what we have been told, but we haven't received our checks yet. If you like what we do, please support us. Share the podcast with your friends. Write and tweet us with topic and guest suggestions. Or head over to secularjihadist.com and give $1 or more for exclusive access to live video. Have your questions read and answered on the air, and more. Till next time, may the flying spaghetti monster be with you.